I was a volunteer dog walker at the SPCA Montreal for 18 months, until I was fired this past spring. When I tried to adopt one of the shelter's stray dogs, I felt treated like a parasite, and when I dared highlight that, they simply lost it. I made these videos to explain how I managed to pull this off. I don't think volunteers get fired very often, so I thought it would be instructive for you, funny perhaps. The videos go through my story step by step, but if you would like to go straight to the questionable financial activities for which I would love some answers, feel free to skip to episode 6. Imagine that you love dogs. You grew up with them, they love you, they're lovable. The problem is that the building you live in doesn't allow them. You could try to sneak one in, but suppose your balls are not big enough to break the rules. At some point, you decide to volunteer at your local animal shelter to walk stray dogs. A win-win. You help the shelter deal with its dogs, and you get a few minutes of love each week from random dogs. The shelter puts you through a few training sessions, and after demonstrating how skilled you have now become, you are accepted as a new dog walker. You walk the shelter's dogs through the warm, cozy Montreal winters and an annoying COVID pandemic. While the shelter shuts down almost everything else it does, the dogs don't care about viruses, and they need to be walked if you don't want them to destroy everything in their path. So you go in, wear the mask, avoid all other human beings, and pick up frozen dog poop, praying that COVID won't hit you. After roughly 18 months, you're ecstatic because you can move into a building that allows dogs. So you start looking to adopt a dog to finally complete your family. One day, in fact on your last shift walking dogs for the shelter before your actual move, you're lucky enough to walk Stella. It's love at first sight. And not only that, she seems to be a great fit. In particular, it's clear she won't need a fenced yard, something that seems a must to adopt just about any dog these days. It's your first time applying to adopt a dog at your own shelter, and you don't take the move lightly, but Stella is worth it, and you send in all the necessary paperwork as soon as you can. You're ecstatic when you are called within hours, because the shelter also thinks you're a perfect match. They agree Stella does not need a fenced yard. She's small and tame enough for apartment life. Unfortunately, within a few hours, as you're volunteering for another cause actually, you are told via email that there's a problem, and sadly, you cannot adopt Stella after all. Believe it or not, the only problem here is one of time. You're moving into your new place in a few days, but you just cannot move into your new apartment fast enough as far as the shelter is concerned. They will not keep her for you the 2 days needed to make the bridge. They will not let you even keep Stella with a relative temporarily for those 2 days, because that would mean too much trauma for her. Your friends make fun of your reluctance to simply lie to the shelter about your move-in date by 2 days, which would solve the whole problem. You can stop imagining now. This is what actually happened to me, and what ultimately led to my firing from the SPCA Montreal. After going through way too many hoops, themselves worth a video series, I finally spoke to the person who made this weird decision on the phone. I will call her Lisa from now on. And here's what she explained. The shelter had no more space to welcome dogs, but there were many elsewhere waiting to move in. And these other dogs could only move into the comfort of the SPCA Montreal if a spot freed up. On the face of it, this argument made sense, but it had one major problem. Since I was walking the stray dogs a few times a week and wandered regularly through the aisles of the kennel, I saw all the free cages available in the shelter. What was Lisa talking about? How could our shelter be considered full? Here's the thing. When I first joined in 2019, only the largest dogs seemed to be given 2 cages merged into one for extra comfort considering their size. By the time of my chat with Lisa in 2021, even the smallest dogs seemed to get 2 cages. When I mentioned this to Lisa, she argued that the shelter wanted to improve animal welfare.